now Professor Shopov will present us the first presentation in this session about remote location of unknown cave by thermal camera.
Yes, actually this part is related to one international problem on remote location of caves, which first has three steps. I will speak about it in the end, but this is related to development of the technique, because in the past there was some experiments for checking of the potential of thermal cameras to locate caves, but all work was done on known caves. And now our idea was to extend and to develop this technique for location of new unknown caves in very difficultly to reach regions like Topography, like dense bush and such things. And the general idea was first to test the method on the ground with ground thermal cameras on known caves, then to find some unknown caves, and then to stage 3 to mount it on drones or airplanes and to do some work from the sky. So in fact in April last year we took 3,436 images from 7 flights over 4 different polygons in one region in Bulgaria, and we took simultaneously pictures of thermal imaging and visible pictures with a drone, and then superpose them in order to use the high resolution of the visible camera and important information which comes from the thermal camera. And the general concept of this method is that the air temperature in most caves is equal to the average annual temperature for the region. So if outside is hot, then air coming from the cave will be cold. But this setup does not work well in temperate climate, because we have many parasite signals from shadows and rocks and other water sources as well. So it is much better to use the opposite setup during in temperate climate, to use very cold days, and in that case air coming out of the cave is much hotter than the surrounding, and the background of the surrounding is lower, because any thermal emission is proportional to the 4th degree of the temperature. So colder bodies emit much less infrared than hotter bodies, which is important. And these were the flight polygons which we studied. And the one which appears to be very interesting is this small polygon. And we were able to locate many cave entrances there. Actually, this is original thermal infrared image. These bright spots are cave entrances. This is the visible picture because we fly before dawn, and it was difficult for us to get up so early. I never do this usually. Don't ask me to repeat the experiment. But in order to build a proper 3D visual model, we need a normal visual picture with high quality like this one. So we repeated the same flight in the afternoon, when we are usually more reliable. And here is visual photograph, and this is superposition of the infrared and visual image of the same thing, but see after sunrise we don't see this kind of information. And here we compare cave entrances which we found by thermal camera with the known cave entrances in the same region. You can see that these cave entrances are visible here, but here we have relocated much more caves, and actually this result was obtained from a single infrared, thermal infrared image. And this was the final result of our study, which we took 7 flights only in one day. And the result, all these 57 cave entrances located very, very close to each other. And then, yes, we built actually proper 3D model. This was orthophoto capturing of the photos with enough overlap in order to produce a very, very fine map. Actually, this is a real orthophoto map of the region. And on this polygon, it was studied by more than 10 national expeditions to find caves. And in this polygon, actually, for 50 years, these 10 expeditions found only 9 caves. After our study with thermal camera, we located 57 cave entrances, and then later on the summer, for one day only, I located 8 new cave entrances. I mean real caves. These are just data from thermal cameras. Actually, the region is extremely hard to go through because this is dense bush, and there are many rock falls here on this terrain, so it is not that easy to go. Then during the second set of flights, we took pictures at a 45 degrees angle to produce a better 3D model of the region, which is this thing here. It was during 1 July. And now I will show you some of real caves which I found on the ground. The most interesting set of cave is this one, actually. It appears to be that it was unknown, and it has 2 entrances, and this is the upper entrance which we found from our thermal imaging, and this is the lower entrance, but it is impossible to locate the lower entrance by thermal camera because it is sucking air. Air flies from here, and hot air goes through the upper entrance, so it is very reasonable. And actually this cave appeared to be the deepest cave in the region. Here you will see two caves which I found which were not detected by the thermal camera because these are not karst caves. These are actually tectonic caves composed of very huge blocks of rock. And the temperature of the air here is the same as on the surface. And what about the next, the missing caves, cave entrances, which I was not able to locate? They are probably related here on the rock face and requires using props in order to be detected. And this is the picture of the entrance of this cave with two entrances, and this is a picture from inside showing the top entrance on the top of the plateau. And actually some of these features are very small. Actually, I doubt that I will be too big to fit in them, but certainly it is possible to penetrate for smaller people. This is a picture from another thermal camera, which is a radiometric thermal camera, and it gives you the temperature. Here in the cave entrance we have 19 degrees of Celsius. Outside the temperature was above 30 degrees, but here in this picture the hottest temperature is 26 degrees. Yes, this is a real core temperature scale. And another cave entrance with similar setup found during this day. And this was the typical picture of the terrain which I had to pass through in order to locate this case. And here you can see actually deep-seated rock fault with cave entrances along it. It is another thing which we located there. And here you can see thermal picture with ground thermal camera showing one of these deep-seated faults which are located in the region. And in the end we have demonstrated that aerial survey for remote location of caves with coaxial pair of thermal and visible cameras mounted on a drone can detect much greater number of entrances of underground cavities and deep-seated faults and detailed systematic ground survey by experienced personnel. And studied polygon has been subject of 3 national caving expeditions and detailed systematic ground survey by Bulgarian Speleological Society for several years. Actually, they made 7 expeditions there. Although this aerial survey detected several times greater number of cave entrances within hours, and it demonstrates that using drones integrated with coaxial thermal infrared and visual cameras is extremely prospective and reveals great possibilities to raise the level and sophistication of techniques for location of unknown caves to a greater level. And we can say that the obtained results are a significant step forward in the state-of-the-art application of unknown caves, and now we can approach looking for caves in less studied countries and regions using this technique. Thank you for your attention.
Which infrared sensor did you use, or did it come with a drone?
Sorry?
What infrared sensor did you use?
Well, this is gallium arsenide, I guess. These are actually thermal infrared cameras. Has several specific things which are common for any kind of camera. First of all, they work in the region between 8 to 12 microns wavelength. That's the one. Then the resolution of these cameras is extremely low relatively to your camera in your phone. Actually, the biggest thermal infrared camera made in the moment has a sensor which is something like 1 megapixel. 10,080 per 860 or something like this. And this camera is this huge, so it's impossible to use on a drone. The highest resolution camera for drones we have such is 740 to 480 pixels. And that one requires very big professional drone, which you have to work entire your life to pay for if you break it down. So we try not to use that one for work in areas.
This one and this one.
Sorry?
What type of drone and camera did you use?
Oh yes, this one which we use here is Mavic Duo Pro, and it has Hasselblad camera, visual. They are integrated actually in one camera head, visual camera and thermal infrared camera. I believe that the manufacturer of the camera, the infrared is clear because this is the leading company, but visual camera is Hasselblad, and it is integrated in one common head on the piece. And for the bigger one, we use a specially built drone, especially for this purpose, not something which you can buy on the shop. Because the other camera is this big and it is different.
Okay, only two questions. You and after you.
My question would be about the density, the vegetation density that you were able to use the thermal camera. I'm asking you this because we are Brazilians and we're really very interested to use the rainforest.
You will need a very cold climate for this. This is the problem. So for Brasilia, I don't know, in general, less vegetation, you have better results you got. Actually, our first set of work was done before there was leaves on the bushes. And the second run was just to improve the 3D model and to find the caves. So vegetation is a real problem. Actually, there are several experiments using thermal cameras made mainly in desert climate. And they were made especially for looking of caves on Mars and the Moon. because they don't have vegetation. So people who study this use these regions. I don't know how it will work in Brazil.
Thank you.
Okay, only the last one.
You said you located 57 new cave entrances, but
Yes.
how do you define the cave entrance? Because do you have any statistics about the false positives? Because you get a lot of thermal anomalies, but do you define a cave entrance as something that you can go inside, or you have to dig to get?
Okay,
to the
this
cave?
is a good question. We have to study this because even the cave entrances which I located in the ground, I'm not completely sure that you can pass through them. They are so small, actually. So we really found very small entrances, but for this case, especially, I have a hypothesis that there was a huge cave underneath the entire region, and once it fall down, and these are all outlets of air from a huge underground chamber. But we have to study this with different geophysical methods, probably deep geophysics, and we will be looking for entrance to pass into this chamber, but so far this is just hypothesis. Maybe these are just many small caves somehow connected, because I would believe that there must be a big chamber in order to produce so big temperature difference between the surface temperature and their temperature coming out as a cave. Actually, the interesting thing on the thermal cameras is that it is possible to assess how big is the cave chamber from which air comes. Because if you have bigger chamber, the temperature of the air will be closer to the average annual temperature. If you have small chamber, then there will be a small difference in temperatures. But still, there are lots of work to be done, so all of you are invited to be involved in this business. This is international program, so we have to work together.
Okay, thank you, Yavor. The next speaker is missing, so I propose a 15 minutes stop. Please have a look to the poster session and come back in 15 minutes for the next presentation.
Yes, actually, this is the team of folder. This one is missing because he is engineer. And this is the